This is day 2 of painting in my art journal, and I'm going to randomly select my subject and my colors and a secret ingredient. So today it looks like we're going to paint palm trees, and I'm going to choose my colors randomly, which is going to help me think creatively or think outside the box. And then my magic ingredient is interference gold, which is a pigment that I can add to my paints or to a painting medium. So this first step, I'm going to add it to each one of my paints, and all I do is need to take a palette knife and mix it in, and it's going to make all of my colors iridescent. Now you don't have to do this. If you don't have this pigment, don't worry, you can still paint along with me in this tutorial. I just wanted to show you how this is used. Now you can also add the pigment, that Acrylics pigment, to a medium. And I'm just using my heavy matte gel medium. You can use it with any medium, and it's going to give you the color of the Pearl X. Step number 2, we're going to paint the sunset in the sky, and I'm starting with my darkest red color here. And then I'm just going to put my orange right down below that. And then that is just a different kind of way to blend, and what I do is I mix just above that those two colors together, and you can see that it's not mixing really well. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab some of my red color and put it on my brush with some water, and then I'm adding that over the top, grabbing some more because it wasn't strong enough, and then going over the top and blending right below that red line, and those two together. Okay, so in my art lesson that goes along with this video, I am giving you some blending techniques. There are several that I use to help me blend, and I want to share those with you so that you can have success blending your paints together, because I know with acrylics it can be difficult to blend. Now I'm adding yellow right underneath the orange, and I'm going to use the same technique to blend the orange and the yellow together. So I added water to my brush with the orange, and notice how I'm going across, and I'm going across quite frequently just to get those blended. And right here, this color is the pearlescent color. I'm just going to end up blending that yellow and then adding some blue down there because I didn't really prefer that color. Here's a blending tip. The more you work with two colors together on your surface, the more that those two colors are going to blend together. And you want to do this before those colors dry. Acrylics dry quickly, so I gave you some tips in that art lesson that I was talking about how to keep your paints wet longer, so you can increase the open time is what it's called. This will help you with your blending. You can get more in that art lesson. Click on the upper right hand corner to get that art lesson to go along with this. So the third step is we're painting the trunks of the trees. I'm using my round brush. It's just a small round brush. When I push down on my brush, it's going to give me a thicker line. But notice how the edges are kind of curvy. So I go to my flat brush, and it's going to give me more control over making those edges of my tree trunks straight, because I don't want them to be bubbly. So I can still get the tip of my tree to be smaller, and I can still put pressure on it to make it thicker. Now the black color is transparent, and the reason for that is because there's blue in that color that is a transparent color. So I'm going to have to go over my black to make it so that you don't see the sunset behind it. Now this next step, I'm adding in the parts of the palm fronds that are kind of look like spiders. And this just makes it really easy to paint the palm trees, the palm fronds, okay? And I went to my small round brush because I'm making curved lines, and I got the tip, so I can just add a little tip at the end and then put more pressure on my brush to make it thicker as I go in. So they're really easy to do this way. Now I'm going to my flat brush, and that's going to give me the ability to make these lines to make the palm fronds. Okay, so I'm going to curve my brush the way that I want it to go. Now I'm being inconsistent with my palm trees, just like in nature, you look at the palm fronds and you see that they kind of just blow all over the place. And the consistent part of it is that the tops are usually flat and then they have the leaves hanging down below. But that's not always the case when you look up there. Sometimes the palm fronds, there's hair, or there's leaves, I call them hairs, but there's leaves that are kind of going wonky. So I'm going to copy that. And that's the fun part about nature, is that it's not consistent, it's not perfect. Now you can paint your palm fronds perfect if you want, but I'm going to be kind of messy with the way that I'm painting because the palm fronds that I'm looking at, which are outside, are messy too. Okay, so notice how I keep it kind of flat on top on most of them, but every once in a while I'll put some pokes on the top. Okay, so that's just adding that inconsistency. Now the leaves get tinier as you go to the tips of the palm fronds. Okay, so those lines kind of get smaller, and then as you go closer to the tree trunk, they get longer. And that's just something I have observed in nature. Also, sometimes you can see behind those palm frond leaves, and sometimes it's just a solid black, or it's just a shape. So I'm going to make some of them solid, and some of those lines you'll be able to see the sunset behind them. Okay, so don't make your palm fronds perfect. That's tip number one. Have fun, be playful with it. I moved to my round brush just so that I could get a few different shapes in there that I couldn't with my flat brush. And you'll notice that you'll tend to go to different brushes for different ways that it can serve you. So if you feel like you need to add any more trees, do that at this point. You don't have to have your palm fronds match mine perfectly, but if you want the reference photo, go ahead and become a member and click up there in the right hand corner, and you can have the reference photo to help you paint this along with me. And you also get the art lesson that goes along with this. I teach you about blending and the adding pigments, the Acrylics that we're using. So that lesson is just really helpful. It's going to help you become a better artist, increase your options, and increase your skills. I've given time for that left side of the painting for that black to dry, and so it's in a stage now where I can add some paint on top, because like I said before, it's more translucent than I want it to be, so I have to add another layer. So right now I'm letting that dry. I'm gonna just add some crazy, I call them hairs, but they're leaves, you know. I'm just gonna add some crazy ones in there just to make it look a little more realistic and playful. And then I will go back over again the black paint that is dried and add some more on top. So just kind of have fun with this. So this step is the finishing touches. Now I've decided that my background, I want it lighter. You do not have to do this. This is just something that was a personal preference. I really wanted those palm trees to pop out more. And I'm using the interference gold, and I'm just using a glazing technique because that paint underneath is already dry. And I talk about that in my art lesson on how to do that, because when you have dry acrylic paints, you still can blend your colors and soften them. Adding the interference gold is also going to make it shimmery. So this is my finished painting, and this is yesterday's finished painting, and I decided to add some notes of things that I would like to work on and things that I really loved, just to help you guys see that there is a process here, and why I'm doing this is to practice and study these things. And that's what an art journal can be for, is to do these things first and then take what you learn and put it on a bigger canvas or a bigger art piece that you want to do. So what I learned about this particular painting is that I liked the lighter background, and so I ended up having to go back and put the lighter background in. But if I were to do this again, I would start with a lighter background. This is called Pearl X, and I showed you how to use it in this video, but you can learn more like in-depth knowledge on mediums and how to use all these things in my art lessons right over here. If you click here and become a Grateful Art member, I teach you all the things you need to know about acrylic paints.
So I hope you learned a lot from watching me paint this. If you want to learn more, get those weekly art lessons that will help you become a better artist. And also you get the reference photos for these to paint them alongside with me. And you also get the color mixing videos that are going to teach you how to mix these colors. After you've become a Grateful Art member, watch more of these videos, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!